What's up, fuckers? Glad you could join us for another deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
This time, we're strapping on our bandanas and diving headfirst into the world of John fucking Rambo.
Should be explosive.
We've got a mountain of intel here. Articles, behind-the-scenes shit, the whole goddamn 9 yards. We're going to figure out what makes this franchise tick.
Let's just try not to get caught in the crossfire.
All right, so let's cut the crap. What the hell is the deal with Rambo?
Well,
Everyone knows the vessel-bound, explosion-loving badass. But is there more to him than meets the eye?
oh, absolutely.
Is he more than just a walking, talking arsenal of Murica?
You hit the nail on the head. While those explosive sequels are what most people think of, the heart of Rambo is actually a lot darker, a lot more fucked up. It's about a soldier grappling with trauma.
So
A guy chewed up and spit out by the very country he fought for.
hold the phone. Are you telling me there's a whole layer to this franchise that's not just about blowing shit up?
Absolutely. Look at the first film, First Blood. Most people think it's an action movie, but it's actually more of a psychological thriller.
Seriously.
We see Rambo battling PTSD, struggling to fit back into civilian life after Vietnam. And let's just say, it ain't pretty.
Wait, the first Rambo isn't even some gung-ho war fest. What the hell kind of bait and switch is that?
It's a deliberate choice, and a brilliant one. First Blood is a scathing critique of how Vietnam vets were treated. It throws the isolation, the alienation, the sheer goddamn trauma right in your face.
Damn.
It's about a guy who's more dangerous because of the demons he's fighting inside than any enemy he faced in the jungle.
So are we saying that beneath all the muscles and explosions, Rambo is actually some kind of social commentary bullshit?
You could definitely say that. It forces you to look at the cost of war, the damage it does to the people who fight it, and it asks some hard-hitting questions about how society treats those who come back broken.
Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
But let's be real, the sequels went in a totally different direction. All that deep shit went out the window, and it was just Murica, explosions, and Rambo single-handedly winning the Cold War.
It's true, the tone shifted dramatically. First Blood Part 2 and Rambo 3 embrace that 80s action movie excess. They're packed with explosions, cheesy one-liners, and Rambo taking on entire armies like it's a Tuesday afternoon.
So
It's a wild ride, no doubt.
So we're talking about a total 180 from the first movie then. From psychological drama to basically Cold War propaganda on steroids.
You could say that. While those sequels are entertaining as hell, they definitely simplify some complex geopolitical issues and play into that American hero trope hard.
Yeah, but those over-the-top action sequences are still pretty damn fun to watch. But here's something I was wondering about. I was digging through some info, and I found out this whole thing was actually based on a book.
Right.
That's some bullshit or what?
You're right on the money. The first film was based on a novel called First Blood, written by David Morrell.
Oh, shit.
And let me tell you, the book is a whole different beast. It's darker, more introspective, and digs deeper into Rambo's psychological state than the movie ever did.
Get the fuck out of here. So this muscle-bound action hero actually started out as some deep-ass literature. Mind blown.
It's true. Morrell's book is a character study, a deep dive into the darkness that war leaves behind. And from what I hear, Morrell wasn't exactly thrilled with how the sequels turned out. They strayed pretty far from his original vision, to say the least.
Damn, so we've got PTSD, Cold War propaganda, and highbrow lit inspiration all wrapped up in one franchise. That's a hell of a cocktail.
It is.
But what about the man himself? What about the impact this character's had on, well, everything?
You can't talk about Rambo without talking about its cultural impact. The name Rambo became synonymous with over-the-top violence, the lone wolf hero who takes down armies single-handedly.
For sure.
He's been imitated, parodied, and referenced in countless films, TV shows, and video games. The dude's a goddamn icon, for better or worse.
Yeah, you're right. Back in the day, everyone wanted a Rambo headband and that giant-ass survival knife. And don't even get me started on the one-liners. They're good.
Exactly. The Rambo franchise, despite its flaws and contradictions, has become a permanent fixture in pop culture. It's a reflection of its time, our anxieties, our fascination with violence, and our complicated relationship with war.
Damn, this is getting deep, man.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think we need another beer to process all this. But you know what? I'm actually kind of intrigued. This whole Rambo thing is way more layered than I ever thought. So let's keep this party going. What else have you got in that intel pile?
Well, how about we take a closer look at how those sequels turn Rambo into a Cold War superhero? because things get pretty damn interesting when you start digging into the politics of it all.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
Right.
Let's crack open another beer and see what other skeletons are hiding in this closet.
All right, let's dive back into this shitstorm.
Yeah, where were we? Ah, right. About to crack open the Cold War shenanigans of those Rambo sequels. Hit me with it.
Well, it's fascinating how First Blood Part 2, in particular, completely flips the script from the original film. We go from this gritty character study of a traumatized veteran to a full-blown action spectacle where Rambo becomes a symbol of American power.
Yeah, it's like they took this broken, introspective dude and injected him with a supersized dose of Murica. Suddenly, he's back in the jungle, kicking ass and taking names for the red, white, and blue.
Exactly. And you got to remember, this was 1985, the height of the Reagan era. The Cold War was in full swing, and there was this palpable sense of American patriotism, this need to reassert dominance after the Vietnam debacle.
So basically, they turned Rambo into a goddamn propaganda machine, right?
Not overtly, perhaps, but you can definitely see how First Blood Part 2 plays into that nationalistic sentiment. Rambo's mission to rescue POWs left behind in Vietnam tapped into this feeling that America needed to right the wrongs of the past to prove its strength on the world stage.
And let's be real, it worked like a charm. Audiences ate that shit up. Who doesn't love seeing Rambo mow down a bunch of commies with a goddamn M60?
It's pure cinematic wish fulfillment. The film ignores the complexities of the Vietnam War and the geopolitical realities of the time. It reduces everything down to good guys versus bad guys, with Rambo as the ultimate American badass, dispensing justice with a hail of bullets and explosions.
Okay, but let's not forget that Rambo III took that Cold War showdown to a whole new level. We're talking Afghanistan, the Mujahideen, and Rambo teaming up with the very guys who would later become our enemies.
Yeah.
Talk about a mindfuck.
You're not kidding. It's a fascinating example of how quickly political alliances can shift and how differently we viewed certain groups back then. In the context of the 80s, the Mujahideen were portrayed as freedom fighters battling against the evil Soviet Empire. But looking back now, knowing what we know about the future of Afghanistan and the rise of groups like the Taliban, it's pretty damn unsettling.
Yeah, it's definitely a reminder that hindsight is 20/20. But you got to admit, watching Rambo ride into battle with the Mujahideen, blowing up Soviet tanks and spitting out cheesy one-liners, it's pure 80s action movie gold.
Oh, absolutely. It's pure escapism. But it also raises some interesting questions about how these films reflect the political climate of their time and how those perspectives can change dramatically with the benefit of hindsight.
Right, so we've got Vietnam, we've got Afghanistan. Where the hell does Rambo go next? Did they send his ass to space to fight aliens?
Not quite. After Rambo III, the franchise took a break for a couple of decades. But in 2008, Rambo returned with a vengeance in a film simply titled Rambo.
Wait, they actually made another Rambo movie in 2008. I thought the Cold War was over by then. What the hell was left for him to fight?
Well, this time, Rambo is living a quiet life in Thailand, trying to escape his past. But, as we all know, you can't keep a good killing machine down for long. He gets pulled back into action when he's asked to help a group of missionaries captured in Burma.
Burma? Seriously, what the hell kind of vacation is that?
Not exactly a vacation. These missionaries were on a humanitarian mission, trying to help the Karen people who were being oppressed by the Burmese military junta.
Sounds pretty heavy. So did they at least give Rambo a decent arsenal for this mission? I mean, the man needs his tools.
Oh, they did. We're talking bows and arrows, machetes, and of course his trusty M60. Rambo 2008 is basically an ultra-violent, blood-soaked action flick. It's not for the faint of heart.
Sign me the fuck up. But seriously, did they bring back any of that inner turmoil, the PTSD stuff that made the first movies so damn good? Or was it just mindless carnage this time around?
They touched on it, but the focus is definitely on the action. This time, Rambo is older, wearier, but still capable of unleashing absolute hell on his enemies.
Sounds like a classic Rambo recipe. But hold on, you said this was like a 20-year hiatus. Did the old man still have it in him?
Oh, he definitely did. Rambo 2008 might be the most brutal film in the entire franchise. The violence is graphic, the body count is astronomical, and Rambo is basically an unstoppable killing machine.
That's what I'm talking about. So we've covered Vietnam, Afghanistan, Burma. Where the hell did they send Rambo in the last one? Back to the nursing home.
Not exactly. In Rambo, Last Blood, our weary warrior is living a quiet life on his family ranch in Arizona, trying to find some semblance of peace. But his peaceful retirement is shattered when the granddaughter of his housekeeper is kidnapped by a Mexican cartel.
A Mexican cartel. Seriously, those guys are asking for a world of hurt. Did Rambo at least get to use some cool weapons this time?
Oh, you bet. Rambo. Last Blood is basically a home invasion movie on steroids. Rambo turns his ranch into a death trap, using everything from tunnels to booby traps to take out the cartel members one by one.
Now that's how you defend your goddamn property. But wait a minute, that's the last movie, right? Did they finally give the old man a peaceful ending?
Not exactly. Rambo, Last Blood is a dark and brutal film. It deals with themes of vengeance, family, and the lingering effects of violence.
Damn, sounds heavy.
Oof.
So after all the explosions, the muscles, and the bloodshed, what's the final verdict on John Rambo? Is he a hero, a villain, or just some dude trying to survive in a fucked up world?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I think Rambo is all of those things. He's a product of his time, a reflection of our fascination with violence, and a symbol of the enduring scars of war.
All right, motherfuckers, we're back for the final round of this goddamn Rambo roller coaster. We've talked about the movies, the music, the politics, and even the goddamn philosophy of this whole thing. Now it's time to get down and dirty with the man himself.
You got it. Let's peel back the layers of this onion and see what makes John Rambo tick.
Right, because I gotta admit, after all this deep dive bullshit, I'm still trying to wrap my head around who this dude really is. Is he a hero, a villain, or just some messed up dude who's really good at killing?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the answer is probably a bit of all of the above.
Yeah.
Rambo is a walking paradox, a symbol of both our fascination with violence and our deep-seated anxieties about its consequences.
Okay, so he's complicated. Got it.
Yeah.
But let's back up a sec. You mentioned earlier that Rambo is a cultural icon. What exactly does that mean?
It means that even if you've never seen a single Rambo movie, you probably still know who he is. His image, his catchphrases, that whole lone wolf take-no-shit attitude, they've permeated pop culture to the point where he's become almost mythical.
Yeah, you can't deny the dude's got a certain badass appeal. That headgan, the muscles, that giant-ass knight, he's like a walking, talking archetype of the ultimate action hero.
Exactly. And his impact goes way beyond the movies. He's been parodied, imitated, and referenced in countless TV shows, video games, even goddamn political speeches. Rambo has become shorthand for a certain kind of masculinity, a certain way of dealing with problems, usually with a shitload of firepower.
Right, that whole shoot first, ask questions later approach. Not exactly subtle, but definitely effective, at least in the movies.
And that's where things get interesting, because while that image of Rambo as the unstoppable badass might be entertaining, it also raises some questions about the kind of messages we're absorbing from these films. Are we glorifying violence? Are we simplifying complex issues by reducing them to good guys and bad guys?
Damn, you're really making me think here. I mean, I've always loved those Rambo movies, but you're right, there's a whole other level to this shit that I never really considered before. It's like, are we supposed to be Rambo, or are we supposed to learn something from his fucked up journey?
That's the beauty of art, isn't it? It can entertain us, challenge us, and make us question our own beliefs all at the same time. And I think Rambo, for all its flaws and contradictions, does exactly that.
All right, I'm sold. From now on, I'm watching these movies with a notepad and a philosophy textbook by my side. But before we get too deep into the existential crisis zone, let's wrap this shit up with a final thought. After all this digging, after all this unpacking, what's the one thing you want people to take away from this whole Rambo deep dive?
I'd say this. Don't be afraid to look beyond the surface. Whether it's a movie, a book, or even a goddamn historical event, there's always more to the story than meets the eye. And sometimes, the most unexpected sources can teach us the most valuable lessons about ourselves and the world around us.
Damn, that's some deep shit, man. I might have to steal that for my next Instagram caption. But seriously, folks, that's it for this wild ride into the world of John fucking Rambo. We went from PTSD to Cold War propaganda to the philosophy of violence, and I'm not even sure how the hell we got here. But hopefully you learned a thing or two along the way, or at least had a good laugh at our expense. Until next time, stay safe, stay badass, and remember, don't draw first blood,